Okay, so as normal, the learning is going to be in the merit of Chachai Bat Sarah. We appreciate all the great support that's being provided. So, we're going to start the second part for Melechat Zoreah. We're going to discuss today the Toledah of Zoreah, which is watering plants on Shabbat and Yom Tov. So now, we already discussed this idea in the Rambam that anything that's going to facilitate the growth of the plant or the seed is something that's known as the Toledah. So, just as sowing provides the ability for something to grow, so too watering is as well. So this discussion is actually found in the Gemara Masechet Moed Katan Daf Bet Amud Bet. Gemara says Itmar, it was taught Hamashke Maim L'Zoreah B'Shabbat Mishum Maim Matlinan Be. If we see a person is watering seeds on Shabbat, or he's about to do so, what do we need to tell him so that he's going to be violating the melacha? We have to give him the direct prohibition in order for him to be sufficiently warned. So the Gemara gives two possibilities. Rava says mishum choresh. We say that the reason that he's chayav is because he's plowing, and the idea, according to this, the Gemara explains, is that if you're placing water on top of the soil, it's going to moisten the soil to the extent that it's not going to be sufficient to now place seeds inside. That's one opinion. Rav Yosef Amar Mishum Zoreah. No, you have to tell him that he's doing the Toledah of Zoreah. And because since water is given to the plant or the seed at this time, that's what makes it grow, and it's understood as being a Toledah of Zoreah. And halachically, we follow the opinion of Rav Yosef that's saying that when a person places the water inside of the seed, that's what causes it to be Melechat of Zoreah. So, based on this, we want to look at some other aspects of placing water. What exactly are the issues involved? So there's one idea that's brought down by the Sefer Truma, and really it has interesting halachic implications of how this may work in other situations as well. The Sefer Truma says the following: V'chen omer ani, so too I will say, that he says it's very difficult for us to permit people to eat their Shabbat meals in a pardes, which refers to like an orchard in which there's different types of grasses and trees that are growing nearby. As we find that people do so during the spring and summer months. He says because what's going to happen is that people are going to be doing netilat yadayim or washing their hands stam over the grass, and by you doing so, you're going to be providing with water. So now you might be saying that that's not my intention. It's not my intention to do so. My intention is to have my hands clean or washed properly with netilat yadayim, but it's not to cause it to grow. But nonetheless, it still is going to pose an issue. We're going to see how this plays out. And he continues, or perhaps a person wants to wash his dishes and he's pouring water on this asavim, on the top of the grass. He says that this is going to cause a problem because it's going to be causing it to grow later on. He says this is considered what's known as a psik resha. So exactly what is a psik resha? Psik resha basically means that if a person does a melacha on Shabbat, but it's not for the sake of doing it, meaning I want to fulfill another action, but by me doing this side action, a melacha inadvertently happens at the same time. So the question is this assuming the right or is assuming the rabbanan, or perhaps it's completely permitted? The famous case that's brought down is the idea of why psik rasha is even called that. Psik rasha literally means cut off the head. So the Gemara basically explains how, imagine a child is crying, and in order to calm down the child, the father takes a chicken, cuts off the head of the animal, and gives it to the chicken. So you could say the following, that the reason he's cutting it is not for the melacha of shochet. He doesn't want to eat the chicken because that is the real purpose of it, but it's to calm down the child. So if that's the case, therefore maybe it doesn't have any sort to whatsoever. So the Gemara says that psik rasha, if you're violating the isur psik rasha, and you get benefit out of it, you still get some sort of a benefit. So therefore, it's still going to be a chiyuv. You get your chayav midoraita. If there is no benefit with the psik rasha, this is already subject to machlokei rishonim. According to one opinion, psik rasha de la nechal, it means that if I do something that's going to cause it, where there is no benefit, there's no benefit to me, or I don't really care about it, it's completely permitted. That's according to the Aruch. Baal HaAruch says that it's completely permitted. According to Tosfot, that the Rosh says no, even if it's a psik resha deoraita, the Isur is deoraita, and I don't get benefit still, it's still considered a sumid d'Rabbanan. It's not a sumid deoraita, but it's still a sumid d'Rabbanan. So, according to this, when we look at the Shulchan Aruch, Maran writes in Siman Shin Lamed Vav, he says the following idea. He says, "Ochlim baganot asum litol yedehem ala savim." A person is eating in a gan, in the garden. Right? This is the same idea that's brought down in Sefer Tumah that we just said. Asum litol yedehem ala savim. They're not allowed to wash their hands on top of the esev, on top of the grass. Shemashkim otam afal pi she'enam mechavnim, because it's causing it to be watered, even though you don't have kavanah for it. Nonetheless, you're causing it to happen. It's a sumid d'oraita. And he says that this is a psik reshahu, aval mutar la'atil he says you're allowed to technically urinate on it. That's a public, property. It might be an issue. Legally to do so. Nonetheless, he says it would be permitted to do so, or any other types of liquids in which it's not going to cause it to grow. So according to Maran, he says even if you're going to be pouring on top of it and you don't care about it, it's still psik resha. It's still psik resha. So the Magen Avraham says, an interesting idea, he says this is true only if it's your garden, but if it's your friend's garden, it's not. Because seemingly if it's your friend's garden, you don't really care because you're not getting any benefit out of it. So the Magen Avraham seems to be saying, like the Shita of the Aruch, who says that if I'm doing Psik Rasha and I have no benefit, it's permitted. But according to Maran, who doesn't differentiate, he might be saying that it's always at least Asumid Rabbanan, in any situation, whether it's yours or it's not. So that's the fundamental Machoket. Now, based on this, there's a famous idea that's brought down by the Maharal in his Chidushei Zoreah Masechet Shabbat and Daf Ayin Gimel Amud Bet, and he basically argues against Maran. So you can say, how can you argue against Maran? It's a Shulchan Aruch. How can you do such a thing? Nonetheless, when you get to the level, sometimes you find the Vilna Gaon doing the same thing sometimes. So he says no. When is a Psik Resha applicable? It's only true if the result that is incumbent happens immediately. Basically meaning the following. The Gemara says that if you take the head of a chicken and you slaughter it, right, that's a psik rasha. Why? Because the chicken is automatically dead at the same time as you sever its head, right? However, in our case, when you're placing the water, when you're washing your hands on top of the grass, after how long does it take for it to actually affect the grass to grow? Seemingly it's not immediate. It might take a much longer period of time. So he says if that's the case, that cannot be a psik resha. Therefore, if it's not a psik resha, it might be permitted. So he completely goes against the very idea of how long of a time period of psik resha needs to happen. We saw according to Sefer Tumah that it happens immediately. The Zoreah seems to say that it takes a longer period of time, and therefore it should be permitted. So therefore he argues against Maran. When you look at the Rav Ovadia Yosef's in his Yeviyah Omer, Chelek Gimel, I believe, he argues against this, and he famously writes something interesting. He says, if you look at the Chidush of the Zoreah, and if you look the way he writes the word Chidush, he puts it in parentheses, the Chidush, because he's very against this. He's a great defender of Maran, so he doesn't even want to accept the Chidush. So it's a very nice thing. He deflects it completely and says that even though that's a very nice idea he might brought down, that's just considered Divrei Torah, but that's not considered Divrei Halacha. It's not something that we pass by. So that would be then the result that a person, even if he's watering and he doesn't get any benefit from out of it, still a psik rasha, that's a deraita, is still a sumid derabanan. So there's no way to get past that, even with these chidushim as they're called. So there's an idea that's brought down by the Sefer Yerim based on this, and he says the following: that a person would only violate the issur of watering the plants if the plants require water, because it's only when the water is required that causes it to sprout and grow further on. However, he says that if it was already saturated with water, that wouldn't be the case, because if there's no longer necessity for it, there's no assumption that it's going to cause it to grow. And therefore, it seems to go along well with what we've been saying earlier on. This idea is brought down by several Sfarim. It's brought down by the Pedach HaDevir, concurs with this idea as well, also Lev Abraham. So essentially we have a couple ideas to be discussing today that we talked about how the issue of Zoreah and its Toledah of Mashkeh is an Isum D'Oraita. The fact that even if it comes to a psik resha, a person doesn't have intention to do so. If a person just spits on the grass, perhaps, that he doesn't have intention to water, but just a slight amount is an Isur. And even if you say, well, how much, what's the measure, like we spoke about the Chatz Yeshir, what exactly is the amount? Nonetheless, we say Chatz Yeshir, Asur Min HaTorah, everything is considered Asur Min HaTorah, even if a slight amount would be found. And the same thing would be true regarding our situation where a person washes over over the grass. Even if it's a little amount, it would still be problematic. And Savirim, again, states that it's only true when there's a necessity for it, but when it's saturated completely, there seems to be no issue, and this seems to be a concurred idea that's brought down by the Leit Achronim as well. Baruch Adonai L'olam, Amen v'Amen.